That's how you started.
Yeah, right. What what's up, profitable stylist? Here we go this week. We are
This is our
talking
official
of
beginning.
this is our official beginning of this week's live. We're talking about what did you say? Live and
Myths and lies. Oh,
myths
oh,
and
lives and
lies.
lies. Lives and lies. We're live and we're
Lives and
talking about
lies.
lies. The lies that hairdressers tell their clients why either their cut, their color, their service didn't happen right. You must have well water. We're going to have to put a filter on your whole system. And maybe, but the lies that I really felt like the hairdresser next to me used to tell when I wasn't that good at color was that it was the medication the client was on. Maybe she was on her menstrual cycle at the time. Something about the alignment of the moon. And I thought I'm never going to get good at color. I can't figure out these color formulas and what cancels out what. Now I got to know something about, I don't know if it's astronomy or astrology because I get those mixed up all the
Mhm.
time. I've got to know where the moon is, and I've got to know people's medications and their monthly cycles. I don't think I'm gonna be good at color.
I used to hear that if you had coffee or a cigarette before you had color,
Dude.
it would thin out the blood, and the blood would like the blood
Wait,
vessels,
wait, wait, wait. I was on the phone with Eddie last night talking about some of these, and as a young stylist, he used to have to call and remind
Oh, you
people of
want me
their
to do that?
appointments. Yes. And it was your aunt, you said?
My aunt was a hairdresser, and she used to make me make the confirmation calls, and I was younger back then, so I was in my early teens, and I would be making the confirmation phone calls, and I would say, all right, madam, just calling to confirm you have a 9 a.m. hair color appointment,
And
and
his aunt made him say all this.
say, just as a reminder, make sure you don't have any more coffee or cigarettes tonight, and make sure you don't have sex either tonight or in the morning, and come in with dirty hair, so this way the color will take better. And I would get the responses I would hear would be, "Oh my God, tell Zoe thank you so much. Now I have an excuse tonight." Or,
Oh my God.
the other responses I would get would say, "Well, you better have some coffee and a smoke ready for me when I get there if I'm not going to have any
Right.
coffee or cigarette tonight." And I'm like, "Yes, madam. Oh, not a problem. We'll see you in the morning. Thank you so much." And then I'd hang up the phone and I'd just be rubbing my head saying, "I only have 25 more of these phone calls to make."
25 more. I mean, when people got
Oh,
there in the morning, they must have been. When could they have their first coffee during the color
so
service
that
or
was the
after?
funniest thing, right? They'd come in, I take them to the chair, you'd brush their hair out, and then she'd come over and start applying the color. And as soon as she'd start applying the color, she'd go, "Come on, go get her a coffee and go bring a stir, and go to the store and get a pack of cigarette. I ran out of smokes." We'd go through like 5 cartons a week. It was insane.
That was
So
the days when you smoke inside the building. Some of the hydraulic chairs had a little ashtray in the handle, huh?
had it built into the armrest handle, yeah.
Yeah.
And it was hilarious because you'd put the cup of coffee down in front of them. The coffee stir was not to stir sugar. It was for them to scratch their
Scratch their head.
scratch the
Huh? That's cheaper than a bunch of tail combs.
I tell you, oh man. And then yeah, and then they'd light up. So you're putting hair color on their head that's oxidizing, right? You're putting like peroxide, and back then the ammonia fumes and everything would be releasing, and they'd be with the lighter. And
And
you'd be
so
sitting there.
so let's go with that myth, or possibility. I heard somebody recently say, "Oh, and honey, don't come to get your color with dirty hair." I know your last
No,
hairdresser
with
told
clean
you.
hair. Don't come with clean hair.
No. Which is real? Which is right? Which should you do?
The belief is if you come with the dirty hair, your
No,
color
I
will
know, but
take
I'm
better.
hearing hairdressers now say, "Don't come with dirty hair. Your hairdresser
Don't
lied to you
come.
forever. I don't want to deal with that funk." And
It's
so,
not that they lied. It's just technology has improved and changed.
yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. So the color that we used to put on, the reason they needed that little stir stick was we had some pretty harsh chemicals back then, and the scalp couldn't quite handle the chemicals as much as the hair could, and your scalp would burn and itch and tingle. And so if your head was a little dirtier, a little extra layer of dead skin cells, some scalp
Product
oil and
buildup, some scalp oil,
product buildup, a little sweat. You were
some
gonna
little barrier.
little dilute barrier. Yeah, so there was some truth to that, but that's one of those things where it's not necessarily a lie, but it held on too long, and so now it's not as applicable. And some people come in too freaking dirty. That's also a problem. It's like, ooh, you stink,
They're like,
girl.
"Oh, I knew you were gonna do my hair today, so I stopped bothering since last week."
Since a month
It's
ago.
like,
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, and I knew you were gonna do color, and I didn't. Yeah, I know color takes better if my hair's dirty. Well, not necessarily. Not this freaking dirty. I can't even see your scalp with the.
you're
Yeah,
somewhere in there.
right. So the lies and myths that hairdressers and let's go with
Do you want to
let's start where we left off.
from where we left off? Okay.
Rinsing
Uh,
your hair with cold water makes it shinier.
so this is something that to this day a lot of people believe.
Yeah. So there's a tiny bit of possible science there. You know, hot water, heat's going to open the cuticle, cold air, temperature, whatever is going to close the cuticle. But the ambient temperature is going to have your cuticle at a certain closed rate. And I don't think that the cold water is going to. I always wondered, and this you could probably tell me a little bit more about. I always found it fascinating that heat opens, cold closes. That's why we would put some colors or bleaches way back in the day under the dryer to get that heat to help open the cuticle and get some deeper penetration on hair, right? Even conditioning treatments. But how does a hot flat iron close and smooth a cuticle when heat would normally open? I don't want to go too deep into that, but do you
That's a
have
great question. Yes.
you have
So
a
what
quick
happens
answer to
is,
that?
yes, I do. I do actually. I use ironing as an example, as the perfect example. So
Mm-hmm.
to anybody out there that still irons their clothes to press out the wrinkles,
I do.
right? Your hair is no different than a fabric material like your clothes. And so with the direct focus use of heat in a controlled specific purpose, you can use it to temporarily create a seal. It,
Hmm.
and just like you're wrinkling out, just like you're getting the wrinkles out of your clothes and you're
Right.
pressing, you're steaming that fabric flat and smooth again. That's in essence what you're doing to your hair. That's the
And so,
best analogy I
yeah,
can
and
give
so I
without getting
believe,
deep.
yeah, I know we're not going to go deep into that because I
Yeah.
would like to say that's what takes the curls out, smooths out the split ends, the
There's
frizzy
a
pink
hundred
ends.
variables.
But
Yeah.
I don't know so much about the cuticle itself or if it even matters. But I see here we skipped frequent
Oh,
shampooing makes your
but
hair
real
fall out.
quick to the point of rinsing with the cold rinses, okay?
Yes.
It's still a belief that stands today, like still
It
until now.
happened in my salon last week. I heard a hairdresser say, we're going to be rinsing your color out with cold water so it
With cold
stays
water,
better.
so it stays better.
And
Yeah.
and I mean, I got a chill right when she said that. I was like, "Ooh, that's got to be miserable. Why would you do that?"
Here is
It's
the
not
issue.
true. It's
It,
true.
but it's
Was
such
it
a
more
strong
true?
belief. It was such a
Was it
strong
more
belief.
true with the older colors?
Well, it was because no, it wasn't that it was true back then. It just felt so much better after your scalp was on fire for 30 minutes of processing. Because you're sitting there stirring with the coffee stir. You're just causing all those micro lesions across your scalp because you're sitting there digging away because the
Oh my goodness.
oxidation during the processing was so harsh, and it was so aggressive that your scalp was literally on fire. It felt like it was on fire. So by the time you went back to the shampoo bowl, then they do the cool rinse and it felt so good and it felt so refreshing. And it's just like
Nothing to
after
do
a
with it.
heavy workout, you get that cold ice bath after a sports play.
No, I
It
don't even
feels good.
believe that. I don't even believe that works. I know Joe Rogan talks about it, and lots of friends of mine that you got these cold plunges, reduces inflammation, but I think it increases freak outidation.
I
I don't know
think,
if
well,
that.
that's the whole difference, right? So,
I think mentally I'm dying. I don't think that's healthy for me either to be getting an ice. bath
Well,
of water.
then we'll get into the stress part of that because
My,
there is a
right.
need for
I think the
stress.
stress is worse than the little. I didn't feel any less pain in my neck or back, whereas a hot tub feels
Makes you
amazing.
feel better.
So
Well,
frequent shampooing makes your hair
hold on,
fall out.
hold on.
Are
So
you
let me
still
finish
on
my
the
thought.
cold
Let me
water?
just finish my thought.
Go
Your
ahead.
body is 98.6 degrees. So you're never going to pretty much wash your hair any hotter than that for the most part, because then you'll feel the burn. So you're never going to rinse your hair with cold water anything less than 60 degrees, because then you're going to feel frozen like an icicle in the wintertime. So the temperature variation is not enough technically to make a difference.
Oh,
But
that's
that's where
interesting.
the vinegar rinse came in, because vinegar rinses is very acidic, and vinegar rinses are starting to get popular again, especially the apple cider
So
vinegars.
that's a true change
That
because
one
of
is true
pH. Because
because
of
of
it's
pH.
changing the pH, which
Because of
will,
pH.
and we had an earlier video where I talked about when I first got the swimming pool, and I got the experience of how much or little chlorination was in the water. Swimming would make my hair feel drier, but after a few days of not swimming, my hair would feel less dry, and I got to realize, like, wow, between my skin and my hair,
Yeah.
it didn't dry my hair out like permanently. There was something different about the cuticle because I could feel the hair felt weird and different, but then it would go away after a little bit of time. Totally a pH thing. It would totally change the way it felt, and had to have something to do with the surface, the cuticle layer, the surface being something different that I could physically feel. So frequent
Frequent
shampooing makes your
shampooing.
hair fall out.
I think, I don't know where that got started from, but I think that was trying to get people to stop shampooing every day. And
Why?
I think they were
Why does
trying
it
to
matter
scare
if people are
people
very
away
clean?
from. I don't know, but shampooing every day is not necessarily good for you either. But it
Right.
kind of it depends. It's everybody's
It
situation
can
is
dry you
unique.
out. It can dry your skin out, right? Your body, like you said, your body is what did you call it? It's designed.
It's an ecosystem. It's a beautiful ecosystem.
It's designed to work a certain way, and that's why we could live on this planet way before all this modern technology, and not just technology, modern things, even the freaking clothing. We had more hair on our bodies to protect our bodies, and as we wore clothing, we got less hair. But we didn't have shampoo at one point or conditioner and things like that. So our body would secrete, like, hey, in the hair replacement world, we clean the scalp with 99% alcohol. There's a big debate out there. If you clean it with 99% alcohol, you get it too dry, and then the scalp's going to make more oil a lot faster. And so you're making the scalp more oily by drying it
Okay.
out. And I'm like, I get the argument, but for me, it's timing. Like, I want to get it really dry, get some adhesive on there, bond this hair system, and then I don't know how oily things get because my adhesive is dry. But that concept made me think, like, yeah, I can see if you shampoo your hair too often, it's almost like in the winter when it gets a little drier. I'm in the South, we're real humid. So, like, my lips are getting a little dry right now. You can see them cracking because we're going into a little bit of a winter. It's in the 40s,
Oh,
you know?
it's 80 degrees now.
And the air's a little drier. My body's used to the humidity and the moisture in
Yeah.
the air around here. And so my skin will dry up until it can acclimate to the new. What you going to say? You want
So
to
this
say?
is an interesting comment. It was probably to conserve water.
Hmm.
That
Yep.
that's an interesting
Yep.
observation as well.
And we just don't need, like you said, to shampoo every day. I think some people just go overboard and I don't know. We don't need to stay on that too
Well,
long.
you
But
were saying about stress earlier. You know, stress will turn your hair gray. If you're too
oh my
stressed out, you'll
goodness,
get
is
more
that one
gray.
on the list, or you just said
That
it?
one's right after.
Oh,
And, but
stress
but it
turns
just
the hair gray.
perfectly fed into earlier how you were saying, the cold rinsing stress you out.
Yeah. And then our friend John put in one of the Facebook posts that if you pluck one gray,
Two will grow.
he said 10. People say all kind of numbers,
Yeah, right.
It's always more though. Yeah, if you get rid of that one gray hair, ooh, I got a gray, and you pull it out, more will come in its place. No, you just got one less hair on your head. That
I
gray
think
doesn't
that's
know.
where I think that's where that got started. I think it was to scare people from stop pulling their hair out.
Yeah, don't. Right. You ever have those girls that got a tiny bit of a widow's peak and they just shave it off? I've gotten quite a few customers through the years. They come in, I'm like, what's that little stubble right there? They're like, I thought I could get rid of the widow's peak. Well, you thought if you shaved it, it would never come back? Did you not think this through? I mean, I guess a lot of girls don't shave their face, so they don't have a.
Well,
I think
you know, if you shave your face, it'll grow
gonna
in
come back
thicker.
thicker.
It'll come back thicker, right? Your beard will come in thicker.
Do you believe that?
I shave every day in
Getting
hopes
thicker.
that it'll get I actually did used to believe that when I was younger, yes.
Some people would shave their head to get it to come back thicker. Don't shave, like make sure you pluck or wax your eyebrows, because if you shave that little bit in the middle or up here, it's going to grow back thicker. Shaving makes it. And you know what? I can give you a little bit of tiny bit of credence to that remark. What happens is, you know how when hair's longer, it's all different lengths and looks thinner on the ends? What? And so
Nice comment.
wait.
Yeah.
When you got all these different lengths like my fingers, and then you shave or cut it, it's all the same length. So when it grows back out for a little bit, they're all the same length. So it looks and appears and feels thicker on the ends for a minute. Plus hair at the ends gets tattered, like my little fidget pole here. You know how the pole is wide and thick, and then it gets skinnier at the end, like it got worn out or sharpened or whatever, like a rope dragging behind a truck or a car on the road. It would get tattered on the ends. But if I cut it off, it would look thicker right on the end till it got tattered. So the ends temporarily would look thicker, but it doesn't make more hair grow out of your scalp.
Well,
That's the thing.
let's go to haircuts. Your hair looks all straggly on the ends because of the split ends. You cut it to create a nice blunt weight line again, so it looks thicker and fuller. Same concept everywhere else on your face.
Right. And what's your comment? You got a comment there, you said?
Says stress, in regards to how stress, the more stressed you are, your hair will turn more gray.
Yeah.
Look at every president.
And it's not just a gray hair. First of all, they're in for a few years, so people do go grayer over time if they have gray hair.
People don't age. What are you talking about? People age?
I know. So they have all those things where they show the presidents, especially the ones that serve 8 years,
Yeah.
So 8 years. Now, I'm sure stress affects people in a negative way. It makes some people die. I don't think it necessarily gives you more gray hair, but over the 8 or 4 years, they get more gray hair. So when you show a picture of anybody 4 or 8 years later, that's why we all go back and look on those Facebook memories and we're like, oh my God, I looked so young 1 year ago. 1 year ago. So of course the presidents do also. So there's no proof that the stress makes them grayer. But it sure does look like proof when you see those presidents.
It's arguable. It's a heavy argued thing, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
while we're on conditioners, fine, thin hair should skip conditioner. If you have thin, fine, soft hair, you should not condition.
A lot of girls with thin hair will not use conditioner because it weighs it down. And there's different kinds of conditioners. I mean, if you use it right, if you don't use too much, if you rinse it correctly, I mean, there are things that could make your hair get weighed down. If you put conditioner in and don't rinse it out, maybe your hair's gonna look. But it's such a myth.
Do you know do you know where that comes from though?
No, where's that come from?
So when you use conditioner, it's supposed to make your hair healthier, stronger, and fuller. Well, that adds more weight to your hair. So on thin, fine hair, they're so used to fluffing their hair up and having it be bouncy and moving. As soon as it gets some weight to it, they have to work a little bit more to make it, like you just do this and it automatically is fluffy, right? But now that it's thick and full, it actually has got some weight to it. You got to kind of work at it to make it stand up a little bit better. And all of a sudden they're like, see, I can't just do the same 3-second thing I used to do to it anymore. It's the conditioner. It made it flat. It's like, no, it actually made your hair fuller. You can now actually get volume.
So now style it. But
so now style it. Right.
That's interesting. Right. They don't want to style it. I get that. That's a similar problem with hair extensions and hair replacement. Sometimes, most of the time people are happy with more hair, but sometimes the complaints are, it's so much. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. I can't. I just shampooing it takes it longer. Styling takes longer. You wanted more hair. Did you not think all the things that come along with hair would be harder or more time consuming? Most people get it and are fine with it, but the some that don't, they thought everything would be better. I'll be better looking and everything else would be better also. Not necessarily. So let's talk about some hot tools. This isn't really black or white here. Heat tools are bad for your hair. They can be.
They can be, but there are some people that adamantly believe that you should never, under any condition, blow dry your
Oh,
hair.
yeah. There was that. There was a big push. There was a big push for going natural.
Going
Uh,
natural.
yeah. Don't blow dry your hair. Don't curl and iron. Don't change the texture. Don't change the color. Just go natural. And that would have been part of it. Don't let any heat touch your hair. But you can have heat touch your hair and be perfectly healthy if you don't, if you're within reason, within control, with some care. I mean, we do it all the time. Some people flat iron their hair every single day. Now, with that said, I had an older lady client come in, and I don't even do clients anymore. But my wife asked me, she's like, "Okay, so there's an older lady in my book club who is having some damage in her hair, and she really wants you to see it and help her figure out what's going on. She's going to see a dermatologist, can't figure it out." And I look at her, and immediately I I said I could see all the damage was like here, right through this area. And I said, "Tell me how you style your hair." She started explaining to me what she does with her curling iron. And I said, it's from your curling iron. Are you right-handed? She said, yes. I said, you're spending too much time right here. She even had some shoulder issues. Her hair didn't even look as good on the left side. She couldn't even reach that side. She'd get it over there, but she couldn't spend as much time there because it was awkward. But here she could spend more time and more damage. And I had her simulate it, and she was burning her own hair off. So after I said, I think this is what it is, she was even like, you might be right. After just a few months of changing her habit, her hair got better. So yeah, heat can damage your hair. She proved it, but she had like a test
Yeah,
subject, like
right, right.
too
A
much
before and
heat.
after.
Yeah, a before and after on her own head, and so the trouble is these companies are letting the clients who have no experience on how to use a hot tool at 450 degrees. They're letting us sell it. And I don't believe in so much government oversight. So it's a tough thing for me because I think that we should be able to put the controls to whatever we want. But the sad thing is customers aren't going to read. Can you see my puppy in the background? I
Yeah, he
got
just
two of
popped
them
up.
here today. You got to lay down, boy. We're staying a little longer. That's Comet, and he's like, I'm ready to go. Casper's laying down. Casper knows we're going to be a little longer. Lay down, Comet. Lay down. Good boy.
But then that feeds right into the next one is you need to adjust the heat setting on your heat tools based on your hair type and how you were just talking about, controlling the heat and who should be allowed to control the heat setting, and what should be the heat setting. And
Depends on
I'm
the
really
hair.
depends on the hair. Okay, so this is an argument that John got into me. John actually argued me strong on this one. I don't believe that it depends on the hair.
Oh,
I have this is my viewpoint on it. Depending on the hair type, people feel that it's easier to raise the heat, to bend the hair and manipulate the hair into the position to style it the way they want to.
hmm.
But at the end of the day, thicker hair is no stronger than thinner hair in regards to its resistance to burning. The natural threshold of the cuticle is 392 degrees. Any heat over 400 degrees is going to burn the hair. That's why we say 400 all the time. 393 degrees will start burning the hair, technically
So
speaking.
why go over 392?
Exactly. Why should you not
I
just be
mean,
at
in your
360 or
opinion,
380?
I say turn it up to 450, but
So here's the difference, right? At 392, or at commonly more, I'll just say 400 because that's what everybody's used to. At 400 degrees, you'd have to go over it 3, 4, 5 times. The idea of going over a section 3, 4, 5 times with a flat iron is scary to some people.
yeah.
So then if I go at 450 degrees and I only go over it once or twice, then isn't it the same thing? That's the theory. That's the math behind it.
Right.
And it's like, but no, it's not. You
I see.
feel like you only have to go over it once or twice because you've melted the hair into place. You haven't styled the hair into place, So But then again, who wants to sit there 4, 5, 6, 7 times? If you've got thick, coarse hair, who wants to sit there for an extra 20 minutes going through the
Well,
hair?
you've got product companies or stylists teaching people that if you're passing the iron over the hair more than once, you're doing something wrong. Look, it should flatten in one pass. If you're going back over it, it's like, but when you use a round brush and a blow dryer, you can do it more than once. I don't understand why you can't go more than, but this is not a styling class, so
No,
we're
it's
gonna keep.
not. So yeah, because now we're about to get into how fast you pass it. You know, if you go this fast versus this slow, and it's like that. That's a whole nother. You know, the speed, the heat, and the control of what you're doing is all that matters. We'll
So
say it at that.
heat's still gonna be a part of the issue on this next one. Towel drying and air drying is better than blow drying
Yeah,
hair.
yeah.
And I think that's again dealing with the heat. People are saying you're putting too much heat on the hair with a blow dryer, so go natural. Heck, a towel could be way more damaging than a blow dryer.
Worse.
Yeah,
If
depending
you
on what you
have,
do.
what is it? The terry cloth towels are the popular ones. The amount of friction that creates. Yes, it feels soft and it feels good and all that stuff, but it's an
You like
absorbent material.
you like those other materials better?
I mean, look, the Sham
Like
Wow or the Sham. What was that? What was that
micro
infomercial?
do you like microfiber better than cotton?
It's not that I no, I don't like it better personally, but
Yeah.
science is science. It is better. It's less friction. It's less resistant
Yeah,
to
less
the hair.
absorbing also. It doesn't absorb any moisture. I don't understand how a synthetic fiber is supposed to absorb water.
It pushes water. It doesn't absorb it. It
It's
pushes it.
just it
That's why I was
will.
making the commercial. That's why I was saying
Damn wow.
the chamois.
But the ShamWow did actually absorb water because you would squeeze it and water would come out of it. It just absorbed a lot for its size. So I don't think it was a microfiber product. I'm going to skip down to hair, cuts, color, and style because
Okay.
I think there's a lot of fun. Frequent trims in order to grow. Yeah, that always cracked me up. Like,
Yeah, if you get your hair cut
oh,
more often, it'll grow faster. I love that one.
that was, I mean, that is us lying to you guys. That is the hairdresser lying to the clients, right? We want to make sure, like, but I'm growing my hair out. Oh, but you got to keep paying. If you don't keep paying me, your hair will
No,
not grow,
you know what
basically.
the whole thing to that is getting haircuts more often means you're keeping the split ends under control.
Right. But the
But if you're
problem is most hairdressers think this is an inch, and so we're just going to take about an inch, maybe a half an inch off. And so your hair grows like this much a month, but you're trimming this much. Then, so if
but what
somebody
is
could
does the hair grow from the ends though, right? So isn't that why you have to get your hair cut more often?
on
That's
the
the
ends,
comment.
right?
The hair grows
No
from the
way,
ends.
no way. Oh, that's right. Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, oh my God, the trim the hair so that it grows faster. It First of all, none of the hairs grow at the same rate, so you're
No.
not going to trim all of the hairs unless you're taking off like 3 or 4 inches, maybe six
Then
inches.
you're never growing your hair.
Right. So if you just, what is a trim first? That would be like, what's the definition of a trim? Because I bet you don't have this one here. Customers that don't want to pay as much
Oh,
because they just want a
yes.
trim
A
and not
trim
a
and a haircut
haircut.
are two different things.
Yeah.
There's another myth. Oh, that's right.
Yeah. So I don't have any appointments available. And they're like, but can't you just fit me in between a couple of customers? I just
It's
need a trim.
just a
It's just a
trim.
trim.
It's just a
I just need a
trim.
little off. Of every single hair or just like to bangs, because I can fit a bang trim in maybe. But yeah, I just want to trim. I don't need a full
There
haircut.
is no difference between a haircut and a trim, people. It's all the same thing. It's a haircut.
I still got to pick up every single hair on your head or comb it. And I'm still cutting all the hairs in the same position to take a teeny tiny bit off so that your hair grows faster from those split ends or all of it.
I told you
Yeah.
this is going to be a fun one this week, man.
Yeah.
This one's going to be a
So
fun one.
just woo.
I like 25. 25 is I believed this when I was young as well. This is a personal one of mine.
You can train your part, right? So you could,
You got to comb your hair in a certain way and you can train your hair to
like a
keep going
dog,
that way.
huh?
That's
Like I
right.
got these I got these dogs trained to lay
To
here
hell with
during
your
the live
colics.
video.
You can fight your colic. You can control your colic.
Change your colic
You can change your
surgically.
colic.
Surgically.
No, you just have to comb. You just have to comb it.
Yeah.
You just have to comb it.
I'm training.
But that's
I'm
still
training my
believed to
part.
this day. By the way, people still believe that as well.
Yeah. So you know what? On hair pieces, hair systems, you can, because the hair's tied to a lace
Doesn't
membrane.
have a colic though.
No, I know, but you can, because it's attached to lace, you can change the direction of the knots on the lace. If it's a
Yeah.
skin-based
Okay.
system,
Okay.
you cannot. It's locked in. You can't change it. That's one of the downsides of skin, although there are a lot of upsides. So yeah, with a person whose hair grows out of their scalp in a certain direction, if I start combing this way, it's not gonna change the way the hair grows out of my scalp. You can't train
But you know
your
what
butt.
you will do if you comb against your colic? You will get more volume. And I think
That's right.
and I think that's what makes people happy is getting
My hair
those-
grows that way. That's why I go this way, for the volume in the
For the
front to make
volume.
it stand up more.
That's
Yeah.
what I do. That's why I do this. I actually don't like this way, but
It's
it's what
against
covers it. It's going against what I have, and
training
it
the
covers
part.
up my forehead a little bit, so you don't make as much. volume.
Oh, I love your next one that you put on the list. Older women should not have long hair.
That
Or
upsets me.
better better said, old women should have short hair or should cut their hair.
Right.
That I don't know where that came from.
Is it easier to take care of because it's shorter because they're older? I don't know who come up with
Old
this.
people can't take. Old people are the ones that take care of most of the people on this planet. I mean, they are the caregivers, you know.
I
They're the
don't get
best
it.
caregivers.
If you are sexy, you are sexy. If long hair makes you look sexy, I don't care if you're 100 years old. If it still looks good on you, it looks good on you. That's it.
So you know what? My favorite. I used to talk about this during hair extension consultations because I'd have 40, 50, 60-year-old ladies come in for an extension consultation. And they would say, I really loved my hair when it was longer, but I know as I get older, I'm supposed to go shorter. And I would say, why? Who told you that? That's not true.
Nobody knows. So the comment
Nobody
is
knows.
maybe it's because now they got kids, they don't have as much time to style their hair, so shorter hair is
Yeah.
easier to maintain.
Pregnant lady.
I think it's more work to style shorter hair.
That's a good point. Yeah. So listen, I would say, okay, this is not necessarily a desired example, but too often, because we're on a main road here, and so I would put hair on somebody, long hair, and they walk out in the parking lot. Immediately, you'd hear some construction worker driving by, whistle at them.
Oh, the cat
Didn't
calling?
matter.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, yeah, cat calling. No matter how old they were, long hair got the whistles and the attention. It immediately, you know what I will say? Long hair tends to make people look younger.
So my favorite thing is
It was
when
like the opposite.
in the 90s when the grunge look was starting to get really, really, really popular, you know?
Yeah.
And then you'd walk by the construction site and they'd start whistling at you and you turn around like, I'm a dude. And then you just see their faces like, oh no. So regardless, from behind, if you can't tell, you can't tell. But yeah, long hair is look, long
Attractive.
hair is attractive. It's a historical fact that
Right.
long hair is a sign of beauty.
Right.
So it's
And
I
it's
have
not that
whole
a
history lesson
a
on
lot
that.
of people can pull off short hair, but even guys, I mean, for historically, men and women had long hair because they just didn't cut it, you know, and you would control it with a ponytail, hair on the face and everything. But there's no truth to you supposing to go short when you get older. That has,
No, I
I
don't know where
mean,
that came from.
I think that, I mean, personally, I think long hair is attractive. And so, yes, you might like short hair, and your husband might like short hair, or your girlfriend, or your wife, or whatever. That's fine. We're not saying that long hair is better. We're just saying
No.
a lot of people think it's attractive no matter the age. And I don't think age should matter at all. Oh, you already said this one. If you pluck a gray, more will grow back. You should come in with dirty hair for an updo.
Oh, dirty
you know,
hair for an updo has been something that I
They don't
people are
do
gonna fight
updos.
you.
I don't do updos, so I know I can't really defend this one either way, but I have hairdressers that would prefer their clients come in without freshly shampooed hair, and then I've seen hairdressers shampoo their clients and dry them and put the products they want in and then do the updo. Now, I can say I think a big part of it is they don't want to waste the time, but you show up at a wedding, you're not shampooing everybody's hair. You're just going to start styling and updoing. And as a hairdresser, did you do updos?
I am not good at updos. I'll tell you
Okay.
up front. I am
So,
not good at updos, but I do
oh,
understand. I have assisted on a lot of them,
and
and I have
do you think the
hosted.
dirty hair is better or not?
No,
What
I'll
does
tell
that
you
mean?
exactly. I'll tell you exactly what this means because I have hosted. I have flown in a lot of celebrity hairstylists to at HCB Beauty, the distributorship.
Right, right, right.
A lot of updo styling classes
And
throughout the
what do
year.
they ask for?
Split. It's a 50-50 split. And it's
Interesting.
really interesting. It's a preference from stylist to stylist. Technically, what happens is this: if the client's hair is thin, soft, or fine, they tend to prefer dirtier hair because then it is easier to mold because it's got some buildup in it. It's easier to mold it into place and have it stay. If the hair
Interesting.
is fuller or thicker, they actually prefer clean hair because then they can blow dry it into the direction that they want. They're not feeling like they're having to fight that all that gunk in the hair going in whatever direction it was going in from the leftover. And they
Interesting.
can cleanly style it into the position that they want it to go into.
Yeah, I never did updo, so I didn't. I was under the impression most of them liked it a little dirtier. But again, like
I've
color,
assisted on so many of them. And then if the hair is too freshly blow dried, and then sometimes it gets staticky, so then you got all the little flyaways, then that's more hairspray that you have to put in to control it. So it's a 50-50 split.
I'm gonna reword the next one.
Okay.
Because I see the way you have it worded. I think it's people don't know the difference in densities, textures, and curls.
Okay. That's
Yeah.
fair.
And so I think when people say I have or do you have, they don't you have thick or thin hair. Well, I've got 3 hairs on my head, but they're real big. I mean, is that thick or thin? I mean,
Right.
what is thick hair? Are we talking about? Because you can. I mean, God, I remember the church I used to go to. The pastor's wife, she had little teeny tiny round hairs. So, but heavy density. You could barely see her scalp, and she had very curly hair. So it was a real mix up of. You could call her hair fine. People might think I was saying thin, but it wasn't. It was thick, fine, tight, curly. It was like
The confusion between texture and density yeah. I'll say to somebody, oh, what do you have thin hair? No, it's wavy. Oh, okay, thank you. I didn't ask you if your hair was wavy. I asked you if it was thin or thick. But thank you for letting me know that it's also wavy. What is your hair? Is it thin or thick wavy hair? Well, it's like, no, it's wavy. How could it be thin? Well, it can be actually. So yeah, there is definitely a difference between
in the
texture
world
and
in the world of relaxers,
yeah,
I
density.
have an afro and I have natural curly hair and I want it straightened. And you ask about texture there or density, and some people think just because a person has super curly hair, it must be thick and coarse.
Then I'll reword the next one too.
Okay.
Is thicker hair necessarily stronger than thinner hair? A lot of people think if your hair is thick, by default, it's stronger. And if your hair is thin, then by default, it's weaker.
Right, and that's not necessarily the case.
That's not necessarily the case either.
So I'll tell you what I found in doing hair extensions, which is still not 100%, but if somebody has finer, thinner hair as far as density, and they come in, they say, my hair was thicker when I was younger, they don't mean more coarse. They don't mean each hair was bigger when they were younger.
It was just
Sometimes,
denser.
yeah, sometimes when a man's losing their hair, that hole that the hair's growing out of gets squeezed down, and they do get finer hairs. There's some technical terms for that, but they do get smaller and finer before they stop growing. And then when you use Rogaine or some kind of minoxidil or a hair growth product, sometimes as those holes get cleaned out and opened up, the hairs come out finer and get thicker and thicker and thicker till they get. But you don't generally change the thickness of your hair once you've lost it. And somebody comes in and says, "I have thinner hair than I used to." I know they mean less density, and based on their age, an educational guess is they used to have more hair. They have less hair on their head now. They probably go through the shedding process faster. So they possibly do have a weaker scalp or root, and so their hair may actually come out easier. But it's definitely not across the board.
Not across the board. I'll agree with that.
Yeah.
And then there are products that could strengthen your follicle, or and strengthen the hair roots, and make, that's a tensile strength test. You could do that on people, and you'd be surprised, just because somebody looks like they have coarser hair or thicker hair.
Right.
You shouldn't go pulling away at it. Or people with kinky curly hair, you're like, oh, you got to pull a lot harder on somebody with kinky curly hair to stretch that out to get that blow dried straight or smooth. Not necessarily.
Right, because once you damage it, you can't repair it.
Yeah. Oh, ooh, so close. You
almost got you there.
Ooh,
I moved.
That was smooth. That was smooth.
I moved back to the very first page. Can't repair damaged hair. Can you repair damaged hair? We did a whole video on this one.
We did a whole video on that one. So default to that. We could put that link.
Yeah, default to that video, and you'll find out that you cannot repair damaged hair.
Do it.
You can do it. So I think one of my favorite on this whole list is doing a lot of hair replacement, hair extensions, is the guys that come in. Some ladies, but mostly guys who come in a baseball cap.
I don't understand what's happening today.
Does not cause you to lose your hair. Hey, that's just the internet. Maybe we just end it there if we froze. You want to just end it?
Possible. Well, we're back on now, so I don't know if you want to pick up with.
So wearing a baseball cap does not cause you to lose your hair. So many people think because they wore a baseball cap, or their mom brushed or combed their hair too hard when they were young, she stressed out those roots and pulled it out, so now they don't grow hair. It just isn't true. It's genetic. It's mostly genetic. Sure, there's some outer reasons why you could lose hair and cause damage. Surgery, pain, scars can cause hair loss. But for the most part, wearing a baseball cap does not block the nutritional sun from stopping this plant from growing. This does not grow like a plant.
What do you mean it's genetic? Isn't it from your mother's father? Depends if you're going to go bald or if you're going to have a full head of hair.
Yeah, that's like, I always hated that lie too. You just got to look at your mother's father's brothers, sisters, cousins, third aunt's mother's brother.
Grandfather or brother.
Yes,
right? Yeah,
that's what it was.
Twice removed or something.
Twice removed. And if he's bald, you're going to lose your hair.
You're in trouble.
No, so the real saying was that people totally believe to this day is it's your mother's father. If your mother's father lost his hair, you are going to also. But we all know mothers' fathers who are bald and the kids have hair, or vice versa. So it's just not true. I like what you said. It takes two.
It takes two to tango.
Yeah. So why would people think it comes from one side or the other? I mean, I'm not saying we know. I don't know how genes work completely. I don't know how. What's the word for that? How all the pairings of like who should get
splicing or something.
Right, because I mean, look, me and my wife have dark hair.
Is a tossed salad between the recessive and the dominant traits, between the X and the Y and the I don't know whatever. Yeah.
I mean, me and my wife have dark hair. And we had a redheaded kid, and so, but we had other kids with darker brown hair. So and some of them are losing their hair in their mid to late 20s, early 30s, and some are not. So
you kept all the hair to yourself. You didn't pass any down.
Right.
What happened.
So let's see. So who's going to lose their hair? Because I'm the mother's father. So if my daughter has boys, which she just has a girl right now, if
No,
she
it's
has a boy,
Vince's father, not you.
the mother. No, but I'm saying my kid, Brooke.
Oh,
If
Brooke
she has
has a
boys,
kid.
she'd be the mother, I'd be the father. I have hair, so all her boys should have hair,
They're gonna
right?
look like a gorilla.
So if Brooke, if you're watching this, go ahead and have boys because they can all have their hair, which is so stupid. Yeah, hair loss runs on your mother's side. All right, we got to go here in a minute. Let's see if we can run through some of these.
Do you want to do the immunity thing? That one was a fun one too.
Yeah, yeah, because I mean, I actually believed this one in the beginning because I was a young hairdresser and I heard the hairdressers next to me saying you have to change, and the product sellers. I think they want to sell different products, so they're like, after a few months, about 6 months, you have to change up the products because your hair just gets used to or immune to the shampoo and conditioner you're using. I was like, wow, I
People
did
still
not know
believe it.
that.
People still believe it.
You gotta change it every 6 months. If you wait 6 months and a day, your hair will fall out.
All of it,
All of it.
regardless if your father is Bernard and has a full head of hair.
Right. Right. Every 6 months, you need to change up your products. Maybe seasonally, maybe you need a different product when it's cold compared to when it's hot. That might be, and
That's the
different
truth.
styling
Yeah, that's the
products
truth.
depending on the humidity, which might be more humid during one season than another. The dry air, that'll affect when we travel and we go on vacation. I know my wife says, "Oh my God, I want to move here. My hair is performing so well in this dry air," because she has naturally curly hair. We flat iron it, so when we're down south in the humidity, she has to use a lot of stuff to kind of resist humidity and do a little touch-up flat ironing in between. But we go snow skiing, that dry, snowy air. She's mostly covered up with hats, so it doesn't matter. But it doesn't seem to get frizzy or curl. So that might affect, but not just waiting 6 months is not going to be
No, that's not going to
necessary
change
to
anything.
change your
No.
shampoo. Let's see, 100 stroke. I think this is a good one too. The 100 strokes a night for best smooth, clean hair. If you're not doing 100 strokes and brushing your hair every day, what happens?
You,
I mean,
you you won't have hair. You won't have clean. You
right?
won't have healthy. You won't have strong hair if you don't do 100 strokes a night.
Yeah. So,
No, that comes from a historical reference. That's really what that was. You know.
so you ever heard you've heard of Zig Ziggler, right? So they had these
Yeah.
motivational seminars.
Yeah.
Zig Ziggler used to do a lot of teaching and training, and he said so I saw my wife cutting the ends off of the pot roast that she was putting in a pot before she I don't know, put it in the oven, the stove, whatever. And he said, "Honey, why'd you cut the ends off that pot roast and throw it away?" And she said, "Because my mother always did it." And he said, "So no, you don't know why?" And she said, "No." He said, "Let's call her." So they call, and her mom says, "I don't know. My mother always did it." And so then she says, and Grandma's still alive. Let's call and
Let's
ask
call
her.
grandma. Okay.
And she goes, "Oh, honey, the reason why we cut the ends off of that pot roast is my pan was too small." And
That
and
is awesome. I
so
love that.
so they fit it in, and so that got passed on, and that's what happened with the 100 strokes. It's like these ladies
Yes.
have more money and bigger pans now, or pots, but they're still cutting the ends off because they think it's the right thing to do. So
Yes.
so they just cut it off because I don't know, they think it might be bad or too fatty, or you just don't use the ends. But
I love that. I'm going to use that in class. I love that. I love that analogy because now we have technology, so we
you
don't
don't
have to.
cut
That
the
that
ends off the
actually
pot roast.
is not a myth. That one on this list, that one is actually true. Once upon a time,
Yes,
historically,
because
yeah,
people people bathe once a week, once a
once a
month.
week, once a month. Yep.
Yeah, so they didn't, and then they didn't necessarily even clean their hair when they did
And
that
they
bath.
worked in the fields. They were farmers, so they would get
Yeah,
stuff in their hair and dirt and leaves and
leaves,
debris.
dirt, right, little pieces of whatever, grass in their hair. So it was cleaning because they were using more of a boar bristle type of brush too. They were using something
Yep.
with with boar bristles, more of a natural bristle that would absorb some of the scalp oils. It would help get the dead skin cells, so it would clean your scalp as well as push the oils or drag the oil throughout the midstrand and the ends and make your hair the same shiny from root to end. And so 100 strokes, most girls didn't cut their hair back then, right? Guys didn't either. So their hair would be way down to their waist. So
Way down.
100, yeah. If you got hair to here, if you're doing 100 strokes, you're gonna have brush burns on your scalp. So
You'll have a hickey on your neck from
yeah,
the
one,
brush
two,
going
three. Right, you're gonna be all rubbed raw on your neckline. Your ears are gonna be red tipped. So 100 strokes is not necessary anymore. But there was a reason for it. Now shampooing, I find that some people don't scrub their scalp well enough. Kids in particular, they get that shampoo on there, just kind of move it a little bit. You ever get the clients in your chair, you lay them back at the shampoo bowl, you go to just to wet their hair before you go to shampoo it, and it suds up before you even put anything in it?
Yeah.
And I'm like, what the heck is happening here? They don't rinse the shampoo out enough. Tends to be kids more often, but there are some teenagers, some young adults that haven't been taught to rinse it out really well, or they're just lazy, and you've got to tell them, listen, some of these things, it's not that not rinsing it out is necessarily bad for them, but it indicates a lot of other things. They probably are not scrubbing their scalp well enough if they're not even rinsing the shampoo from their hair well enough. They're definitely not using conditioner because they still have shampoo in their that wasn't rinsed out well enough. And the only good thing about not rinsing your shampoo out well enough is when it's baby shampoo and you're my child and you went to my grandma's, and she's saying, do it all yourself. Let's see how you do. And he comes home and I'm like, Carson, your hair smells so good. Why is that? And my wife said, because he doesn't rinse the shampoo out of his hair. So
Oh my
there's
God.
there's an upside, because normally as a hairdresser, if I rinse his hair, man, it's rinsed so well, it just doesn't smell like anything. It just smells like hair.
I got
Yeah.
you.
But when it comes home from my mom, sometimes I'm like, your hair smells so good.
What has she got going on over there that I don't know about? What is this?
Yeah. It just still has shampoo in it because he's doing it
ends off the
himself.
pot roast. That's why his
Yeah,
his
right,
hair smells
right.
good. So
Yeah, that would be
I think we got the one last one about the suds. Actually, since you're talking about the suds,
Go ahead.
Let's end it with that one. A lot of people think that the more a shampoo suds, the better that shampoo is.
I thought that for a very long time, till just recently.
Yeah, and it's actually it's the complete opposite. How well your shampoo lathers on your scalp is how good that shampoo is.
So let that be the lesson for the day. There's a difference between lather and suds.
And
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, suds.
I thought white was white.
What was no? There's a huge difference. The runoff, all that suds is the runoff, all the excess that your hair is not taking. So then that all turns to suds. Or if it's a lower quality, this is why we're always making fun of over-the-counter products. Because if you're using cheaper or lower priced or lower quality shampoos, it's all
lots of
suds.
sulfates. And that's all suds.
All sulfates. There's not enough good ingredients to balance that out. And so it all just turns to suds. You're not really getting a good lather, which is why you got to use so much of it. Whereas you get a professional product, you only need a fingertip amount and it can lather up for your whole scalp. So
that's interesting. Yeah, that is interesting. I am done for the day. I got other things to do in
our list.
3 minutes, so I got to run. But yeah, this was a fun one. I love the lies of our industry, both from the hairdresser and the client. Oh, let's end with this one more. I want the 3-layered cut.
I want to look like a Christmas tree or an escalator or something,
Our industry is filled with haircuts and styles that were from mistakes or accidents, happy accidents, and then all of a sudden a hairdresser pulls the hair all up, gives it just one cut there, drops it, lets them go, and what you see is this point, and this point travel further to get to that layered cut. So when it falls, this hangs lower than this and this, right? The bangs hang lower, this hangs lower, and this point right here hangs lower. And you see the accent in the in the outer perimeter of the haircut, you see what looks like 3 layers. And that was never on purpose. That was hairdressers not understanding geometry and not finishing
Look,
up the
man,
perimeter of their cut.
it's why I became a hairdresser. Okay, I'm not here to do maths. I'm
Right.
here
You
to
didn't
cut
want to do
hair.
geometry. I get it. I didn't either. And you know, that became a thing that people, I actually looked it up on YouTube thinking I'd find some people making fun of it. And you know what I found? How to do the 3-layered cut. People were teaching. I was like, oh my God, it's going further than an accident and asked for by clients that should not be asking for a 3-layered cut. Now we got hairdressers actually teaching the 3-layered cut. Oh, that was like the one that drove me the most crazy. All right.
That's why I specialize in correctives.
Yeah,
What other myths can you guys all think about that we missed on our list? We would love
what
to
did
hear
we
about it
miss?
because these are always fun. Thank you
Come here,
guys
boy.
for watching. We'll catch
Come
you
here,
all
boy.
next week.